Got a serious question for you guys. Do you love it or do you hate it when someone puts a silver lining on something? Well, probably depends on if you're an optimist or a pessimist. Some of you like to be miserable, and some of you like to have hope until the very end. Now, I'm not going to put a silver lining on Saturday, so don't get mad at me for this video if you're a pessimist. But I do want to put one on the rest of the season. So let's dive right into it now. I truly believe that what happened on Saturday against Boston College came at the very perfect time for the Seminoles. I think that, and we'll quickly go over those, and I won't extend this out or make it a super long video of that. I think it's really important that it happened on Saturday because it was early in the year. Listen, guys, this was a wake-up call, and it was a wake-up call for a lot of people. It was a wake-up call for Coach Norvell. It was a wake-up call for Coach Fuller. It was a wake-up call for Jordan Travis. It was a wake-up call for some of our defensive linemen and linebackers and some of the guys in the secondary. It was a wake-up call for a lot of guys. And that coming early in the year is the best possible time that it could have happened. Timing was everything. And playing one of the worst teams in the ACC was also a good time for this to happen. You never like to look bad. You never like to perform poorly. But if you're going to do it against a bad team so that it doesn't cost you in the wins and loss column. Also, do it early in the year when rankings just mean less. No one is going to remember this BC game later in the year. If the Noles go undefeated, they're fine. If they lose 2 or 3 games, nobody's going to judge them based on the BC game. Happening early in the year is a good thing. It's also a good thing because you have Clemson next week. And it's not going to take until November or December to forget about this Boston College game. You will forget about it probably well before Clemson, but as soon as the kickoff against Clemson happens. You see, if you beat Clemson, you forget about the BC game because it just doesn't matter anymore. And if you lose to Clemson, you forget about the BC game because it just doesn't matter anymore. It came at the perfect time. It was probably somewhat caused by the fact that you have Clemson next week. A little bit of a look-ahead game, a little bit of a let your foot off the pedal game. But I think that it came at a good time in that regard as well. It also was the perfect time for this because if you watched college football this week, and we talked about this in yesterday's video, everyone else stunk this week too. Nobody else was good. Georgia, not good. Alabama, not good. Texas, not good. Colorado, not good. Tennessee, not good. The team that probably looked the best this week was LSU, who you put an absolute beat down on. And so while you didn't look very good in this game against Boston College, the team that you beat and probably have the best win in the country against did look good. You're also likely never going to do this again. You're never going to have another performance like this. And I'll explain why right now. Saturday represented what I've been referring to as 17 minutes of hell. I think Florida State played a really good game outside of 17 minutes in the second half. For 43 minutes, they were the far superior team. 43 minutes, they outscored Boston College 31-10. Sure, they gave up a few drives to start the game on defense. I get it. But in 43 minutes, they only gave up 10 points. They were putting the absolute hammer down for the majority of the game. But what about those 17 minutes? Well, I want to talk to you guys about those minutes. But first, I want to tell you about something that's maybe a little bit more important. I know you guys like supporting our players, right? And you like giving back to charity and doing good things. Well, I've got an opportunity for you to do both of those things. Smoothie Time, who we've told you about a ton, is partnering with Josh Farmer, starting defensive tackle on Florida State's defense this year. And when you go in and you tell them you want a shot of energy in your smoothie, which is how Josh gets his, you're not only supporting him, but you're giving back to the Boys and Girls Club of Tallahassee. My favorite smoothie there is Surprise Surprise. It's pineapple, mango, and orange juice. If you want something that's a little more classic, their Old Faithful is strawberry and banana. They have a lunch special every day from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You get half off a smoothie with the purchase of any sandwich. Their sandwiches are some of the best in town. Address is 1208 Capitol Circle Southeast in Tallahassee, right next door to the Beef O'Brady's. Go support them today. Not only do they support us here on this channel, they're giving back to the Boys and Girls Club. They're also supporting Josh Farmer. Glad that he stayed in town because he's been wreaking havoc on the field this year. So make sure that you're supporting. Okay, Florida State Boston College was 31-10 with 7:01 to go in the third quarter. One of the craziest, I don't even believe in momentum. Don't give me in the comments on that. One of the craziest momentum killers or energy or shifts or whatever you want to call it happened when the Noles had a miscue. Their first penalty of the game, a 4th and 4 offsides, which forced them to punt the ball away. I've not seen too many lined up in the neutral zone on the offense. Seems to be a point of emphasis. I saw it a couple of times on Saturday in different games. But a 4th and 4 offsides by the Noles forces them to punt. They had been moving the ball very well. They had scored on, I believe, 5 of their first 6 possessions in the game. I can't guarantee that they were going to go out and get that first down with 4 yards to go, but I felt good about it. When you had the offsides, the mental lapse forces you to punt. That's the first one. The second mental lapse was you hit a touchback instead of pinning them deep. I don't want to get on Mastro here. I think he's been really good this year, and Fitzgerald's been good too. Special teams has been a good unit for the Noles. But if you pin them deep and you don't kick it out of the back of the end zone, maybe our next point doesn't happen. Boston College then on that very first series converts a 4th and 1. They decided to go for it from their own 29. If you had pinned them deep and maybe you kicked that ball out of bounds at the 5, do they go for it from their own 14? I mean, maybe, but I don't know, man. I think one thing leads to another. They get the 4th down conversion. So the defense lets you down by giving up that 4th down. If it had been a touchback, maybe they don't go for it. And then the big one. Shortly after that, you force them into a 3rd and long, and they give up 52 yards on a 3rd and 17. Absolutely brutal. Coach Norvell said that 10 guys did their job right on that play, and 1 didn't. So you've got another mental lapse on a 3rd and 17. They end up scoring on that drive. They kick off to you, and what do? You muff an onside kick. They get the ball back in prime scoring position. So now offenses let you down, defense lets you down, special teams now let you down a couple of times because you don't fall on a kickoff. And you do get the stop there. After a 4th down stop, you do get them off the field, and immediately the offense lets you down again. A fumble return where somebody misses an assignment until a Philly fumbles the ball. Boston College picks it up and scores a touchdown. Right after that, you get the ball back. You're driving down the field, and there's an offensive pass interference that eliminates a huge 4th down conversion to Kyle Morlock. Florida State has to punt after that. And Coach Norvell was asked about that. Was Keon blocking too? If you maybe block him just a little short of that, maybe if you're not quite catching the ball past the line, that doesn't happen. Then you have a 3rd and 10 conversion. A quarterback run from Boston College's 5. You can't give that up. You lose contain. We were spying. That can't be the situation. That can't be something that happens. So the offense lets you down. The defense lets you down again with another long 3rd down run. And then finally, on a 4th and 2, you've got a chance to get off the field, a 4th and 2, and you can't keep contained. You can't keep Castellanos from running it in. They score a touchdown to cut the lead from 31-10 all the way down to 31-29. 5:19 to go when that happens. You had 7:01 to go when it started. Just under 17 minutes of miscue after miscue after miscue after miscue after miscue. And I stopped short because I got tired of saying it. But you really just did not play well for a 17-minute stretch. And how often do you think the Noles are going to go through a stretch like that? Well, they're certainly susceptible to it. They kind of did the same thing against Clemson last year. It was a much shorter stretch, but it was about 7 minutes, 3.5 minutes on either side of the half, where they just fell apart. You're good for about one of those a year. That's not something that's typically going to happen. If one thing had gone the Noles' way, you don't jump off sides, maybe that snowball doesn't get rolling. You don't punt it out of the back of the end zone. Maybe they don't go for it on that fourth down, and you've got prime field position again. You don't give up the 3rd and 17 conversion. You don't muff the onside kick. You don't have the fumble return for a touchdown. You don't have that offensive pass interference that would have sealed the game. You don't give up that 3rd and 10 from their own 5. Any one of those things taken away, and I think the Noles win this fairly comfortably. Obviously, the earlier you could have stopped that snowball from going, the better off you'd have been. But I just don't see that happen again. That's not going to be the situation again. If one of those things doesn't happen, the Noles win this comfortably, and we're not all melting down. We're not all freaking out after the game. And I don't expect it to happen again. I don't expect that to be the norm. That's certainly not been the way that we've played here at Florida State. Sometimes things are going to go against you. Mike Norvell said in his post-game locker room speech, that's life. You dealt with life. Sometimes all the cards are stacked up against you. Sometimes everything is beating you down. But how do you respond? Are they able to come out this week and play? It doesn't have to be a full 60 minutes, but can you basically not go an entire quarter spanning across 17 minutes without doing anything right? If you're able to, I think you win comfortably this weekend. If you're not able to, if you play like that again, yeah, Clemson's going to beat your head in. They're not Boston College. A lot of things went wrong. A lot of things were fluky. A lot of things were correctable. And if the Noles can correct them, and if they can get back on the right track this weekend, you'll never remember that Boston College game again. Nobody talks about the Boston College game from the 2013 year. Maybe they mention Jameis's Hail Mary to Kenny Shaw, or maybe they mention the way that I remember Chad Abram had a couple. They don't mention that game and how close it was and how nervous we all were at halftime to only be up by a touchdown. Why is that? Because you came out 2 weeks later and you beat the heck out of Clemson. You can obviously make a lot of people forget about Boston College if you do that this week. Hey, guys, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate all the love and support on the channel. We are trying to grow this as best as we can. If you have any comments, thoughts, suggestions, complaints, whatever you've got, I'd love to hear it down in the comments. We've got a lot of Clemson coverage. We are flushing that BC game. We are moving on from it. This will be the last time we talk about it. We're moving on. We've got a preview tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We will talk about Clemson, and we'll do some more content Thursday. Friday, I'm up in Clemson, South Carolina. We'll do something fun from there. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for all the support. We love you. Go Noles.